to the Bianca Williams Podcast. I am your host, Bianca Williams. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you are new, welcome. Get comfortable. Go ahead and subscribe. We have a lot of good stuff in this podcast, from self-growth tips to people sharing their stories, sharing just a lot of knowledge, wisdom, all of the above. So I feel like there's something here for everybody. As always, I do appreciate your feedback. And today, I want to share a very special guest, someone I have known for many years, the wonderful Dr. Tiffanie Garrison-Jeter. Thank you so much for joining us. You guys, she wears many hats. She has definitely been inspiration to me and many as far as being an entrepreneur, being in the medical field and dentistry. She's a wife, she's a mom, homeowner, all of the above. I mean, I feel like I could just go down the list and name it all of the hats you wear, but let me pause. Thank you for joining me, Tiffanie, and tell the people just some things about you, what you have going on, what's coming up for you.
Well, thanks for having me on your podcast today. I'm so honored to be on here today. I'm a dentist by training, but as you say, I wear all the hats. I've done military dentistry, corporate dentistry, community health dentistry, and just recently been in private practice. So I've been in private practice for 5 years. So I made the 5-year mark this year. So I'm still in the military. I'm in the National Guard now. So I do general dentistry, cosmetic dentistry, and I do facial aesthetics. So I just kind of incorporated bringing who I am as a person into what I do as a career. So I've kind of just molded that all in together.
Wow, that's amazing. So I think sometimes when people hear I'm going to a dentist office, they think I'm just getting my teeth done or something done in that area. And you kind of offer a lot of different services. And so, yes, you guys check her out. We're going to, share more information about her towards the end of this episode, but amazing. Definitely pushing boundaries, knocking down some of these walls and making space, right?
Right.
I would love to learn more about your entrepreneurial journey and how you got started.
So I started out, like I said before, I was a military dentist for 5 years first because I took a scholarship with the military to pay for dental school. So I transitioned out of the military, moved back home to Nashville, and I was working at a corporate dental office. And I mean, for me, it was the worst. I felt like I wasn't practicing dentistry on my own terms. I wasn't the dentist that I wanted to be, that I thought I should be. And so that experience made me think like, oh, okay, I want to have my own practice. And initially I wanted to, buy an existing practice and kind of go that route, but I still couldn't find an existing practice that spoke to who I was as a person. And I made the leap to start from scratch and build my practice from scratch. No experience, no knowledge, no other entrepreneurs in my family, and no really guidelines to go on. So I just researched and I took the good stuff that I liked from the corporate structure because I didn't want to, reinvent the wheel. And I
Yeah.
started to build what is now Definition Dental Studio. So I incorporate who I am as a person and my personality into my practice. So I'm not just, that normal, average, stick in the mud type of, dentist. I bring Tiffanie into the equation. And that's how I incorporated facial aesthetics and just making people feel comfortable, like a family type of atmosphere. Like before it was the cool thing to do. It's like, I'm Tiffanie and I've always been Tiffanie. Like before I was Dr. Mrs. Pretty, I was Mrs. Pretty, you know what I mean? So I
Yes.
brought that into my practice. So when my patients come into the practice, they really see me as a person.
Yeah. I love how you explain creating a space that fits who you are. And because I think that's a big part of entrepreneurship and not feeling like you have to follow a mode of what you're seeing out there. A lot of people kind of move into that space of just business ownership and starting their own thing from just not seeing what. I want to create something that's not already out there. And so congratulations on being first generation entrepreneur in your
Thank
family
you.
and being successful, doing a lot of things. I mean, 5 years, that's huge. And you are in Tennessee, you're in an area that is popping, but also I feel like you don't see a lot of us. And so that's when I say you're like creating, you're knocking down barriers, you're creating a path. Like You really are. I mean, I feel like, sometimes we are in the position we are because of our ancestors, which we are, and we definitely should be thankful for that. But also these modern day things we're overcoming and paths that we're creating for the generations to follow us. So you are
Absolutely.
definitely doing the work.
Thank you.
And And to your point, a lot of times we're raised and we're taught to just, find a job, right? Like go to school and then find a job. And then, your job will help you live the life you want to live. And you're like, yeah, no, you
Right.
created something new. But I feel like when you go into entrepreneurship, there's so much behind the curtain that people don't understand. And balance is really, really important. And so, how do you personally define work life balance?
Well, I really had to learn the hard way about work-life balance. I'm one of those people that I have to learn by putting my hands on it or getting interactive. So like somebody could, tell me something over and over and over again, but until I actually experience it, I think that's the way that I learn. So, I started out, work, work, work. I'm gonna, do this, do that to build my business. And life just had a way of humbling me. Okay, so like I didn't have any work life balance, and
Mm.
life hit. And so when it hit, it made me prioritize things and shift some things to have some work life balance. And so I think, work life balance is being able to fit everything into the space that it needs to be. Now everything is not always going to be equal parts. So when people say, oh, work life balance, you're going to equal work, equal family, that's not always a thing. It's
Yeah.
a moving, shifting type of a thing. Like sometimes you may have more work than balancing your family or whatever. Like it shifts, and you have to be able to ebb and flow with it to know when to put what thing as a priority. So I actually find it a little bit different than some other people, maybe the gurus or the specialists, how they
Yeah.
describe work life balance.
I actually like the way you define it because I do think it's unrealistic to think, we're just supposed to have all of these balls in the air and wear all of these hats at the same time and think we're giving ourselves to this stuff and giving quality versions of ourselves to this stuff. Um, I really, I think one of the just themes that I've been noticing in talking about work life balance and just talking about balance in general is that we have priorities, right? We have hats we're wearing, we have different areas in our life that we're committed to and we organize or we prioritize those things at the time we need to. And so
Right.
there's a time we're at work and we're fully in that space and we're just, like that's what it is. And we might dabble a little bit in another area, but we're not really in that other area. We're really in that workspace. But when we're not in that workspace and let's say maybe it's family time, it's not work. It's family now. It's not, it's not this, it's not that. This is where this is what I'm prioritizing now. So this is where like a huge percent of my energy is going to go into, and so it turns into more of a qualitative experience versus just, I'm just trying to keep up with everything and stress myself out. And I love the way you just said, like I had to figure that out. Ironically, so in one of the positions I was in, I studied adult learning, and so when you were saying, I made some mistakes because people told me, "Oh, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way." But for me, I had to learn by doing it. That is a part of it. There's this version of you can read it or see it. Well, first of all, there's this version of you can hear it. There's a very small percentage of what you take in just from hearing it. There's another version of you can see it that opens up that percentage of what you're like locking in and what you're receiving, but it's still pretty low. When you go from hearing to hearing and seeing something, maybe even sitting in, watching it be done, it keeps growing. But it's when you start doing it where, you really can make those pattern shifts, those lifestyle changes. And so what you
Absolutely.
said is actually key to that growth. Like a lot of times it's not wait to somebody else. I mean, you can listen to people. I think sharing wisdom is absolutely like, I'm all about that. It's all here. But
Right.
stuff into practice, guys. Like you do not have to wait and feel like if I don't get it right or I'm scared I'm gonna mess up. No, make the mistakes. That's how we learn.
And then learn from the mistakes to do better the next time.
Thank you. Yes. We gonna make the mistakes, but learn from the mistakes so you don't keep making the same mistake. I love that. What was one of the biggest challenges you faced in work life balance?
putting myself as a priority. So like you said, you're wearing all these hats and you have all these buckets, but if you're trying to fill up all these other buckets and then your bucket is empty, then you're not giving all those other buckets your best self either. And so I had to learn to kind of make myself a priority. Like, the kids will be there and they're going to be okay if I need to take 10 minutes sitting in the car before I come in the house. I need to take my 10 minutes. They're going to be okay for 10 minutes. And so that was kind of like, my thing I had to learn is it's okay to step back and take a little bit of time for yourself,
Yes,
so that self-care piece, I think is
absolutely.
crucial.
Oh my gosh, we're gonna get into your self-care stuff later. I actually like that because sometimes we kind of can get warning signs. Some people ignore their warning signs when they need to stop and take care of themselves. But I'm like, don't even wait for that. Just put yourself in the prioritization schedule. Like at some point, you got this, you got that, you got that. Make sure you're in there somewhere because
But that's hard for us as Black women because we're taught to be, oh, we got to be strong and we like, no.
and a
you
lot
know
of us, that's how our value has been defined is by what we're doing for other people,
hmm
how much we're working, how many different things we're doing. And so it's almost like a badge of honor for us to say, well, I barely got any sleep or I'm so tired because I've been doing all of these things when in reality we're killing ourselves. And so
absolutely.
you are right. There's like this cultural piece and societal piece that factors into, especially for Black women, why sometimes you're not even seeing yourself as part of, I got to take care of me while I'm taking care of everybody else. That's
Or
huge.
just to even give your best self, like you're giving them something but it's not even the best of you, you know what I mean? And
Exactly.
so
Yep. Yeah. And that's huge because, and I say, I don't know if you have a way of looking at this, but I kind of feel like, choose who you want to be, how you want to present. And if you're having trouble with that, that's when you kind of can tell that there's an opportunity there for you to take some steps back, maybe give yourself more rest, maybe treat yourself more, right? Like if you're always burning the candle at both ends, and you're not, taking those breaks, you're not letting that stress come out in stress relieving ways. What I tell people is it's gonna come out either voluntary or involuntary. So, you choose, right? If you don't want to be the person who's just popping off, then make sure you're giving yourself time to rest. Because
but that's the
I've been,
beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur. You can make those changes to be able to do that. And I had to learn to use my entrepreneurship to my advantage. Like, my practice is 45 minutes away from my house, right? And so it takes me, I got to get the kids up and get them ready for school, take them to school, then come to the office and then, work all day and then drive 45 minutes. So I had to make the decision. I'm like, well, I don't have time to even go pick up my kids. So I just changed my office hours.
yeah,
I
yep,
stopped seeing patients, seeing new patients after 3 because I was like, oh, I have this power, the balls. Why don't I
you
make this
are.
work towards my benefit, to my work life balance? And as an entrepreneur, you can make those changes to fit your family lifestyle or for yourself or whatever you need to do for your self care. You can incorporate that into your business model or your business plan. So I think that's one thing about entrepreneurship that people don't take advantage of. They think they have to, and we do. You got to work, work, work. You have to get things stable, but you need to put systems in place so that other people can do things, and then you can kind of take off and do the different things you need to do, because that's why you became an entrepreneur in the first place, to kind of do things on your terms. And so I had to take that into effect and use that, in my work life balance equilibrium.
Yes, I hope you entrepreneurs are listening. Structure, creating the life you want. You built this business, so let this business be something that fits into your life, not the other way around. You're not just working a job anymore. So
Absolutely.
I love that. You're like, look, I can change this, and did.
Indeed.
Are there other ways maybe like prioritize certain tasks or manage your time for effective and efficiency?
I think writing things down is key and planning things out ahead of time. So like I have it's a little calendar in the kitchen that's on the pantry door. It has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So like I put what I've got going on for the week on there. You know, my husband puts his, we put the kids' activities over there. And then we kind of plan as a family how we're going to tackle the week. And I think having, a good support system, a supportive spouse, whether they, husband, wife, whatever, a supportive spouse or a supportive partner is key into having that good work-life balance and that structure. For me, I use that as a tool so we can kind of stay on the same page, know what we need to do and who needs to get off early and who needs to do what. And I think sticking to that plan, like if the last minute stuff may come up, but that shouldn't be like the norm for you. So planning things out, writing things down, setting goals for yourself, to reach those benchmarks, I think is key.
I love that. I would say it took me a minute to understand how to structure your life in a way that you create the, kind of what you expect to be the next so and so days. And then, pretty much stick to that and not let yourself just kind of drift around and land wherever, things kind of pop up. So it sounds like you guys definitely have a system in place. Have a weekly almost touch bases. And I like that it's weekly because even though like I know like for example at the beginning of the school year, I'll go through the school calendar and put all the dates in my phone because I'm like, I need, I don't know when these surprise days are gonna happen. I need something to tell me. So I'll do that and then usually I'll get a notification at some point when it's happening. I'm like, oh, thank you. I didn't know. But
Right.
or I just see it. So but I like the weekly part a lot because like sometimes we're trying something new. We need to change that. Sometimes we want to add something new. Like I know one of the things my husband was like is he wants to create a weekly like almost menu for cooking dinner and all of that. And so part of that is we're gonna be seeing if some things work, right? But then being able to come back to that and see if maybe we want to change that the next week or we want to do something a little bit different till we find our flow and in our system that works for us. And so I feel like weekly is a good safe space to be able to say if something's wrong, we have a way to kind of catch that. If
Mhm.
something new is coming up, we have a way to catch that.
Yeah, my
But
husband, he'll forget. I tell him, if I tell him something's going to happen a month ago, this is good as done.
right, it's like a reminder for him, like, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's important. And I'm like that too. I'm like, I gotta write it down or else it's like it didn't exist. So
exactly.
that is so important. Are there any other tools or techniques you have that help you stay organized, help you stay focused?
Having an accountability partner, I think helps. When there's one of my colleagues, she opened up her practice around the same, maybe a couple of months before I did. And so we bounce ideas off each other. We hold each other accountable. Like, if my phone will ring because a patient is calling about something, and then she'll be like, "Doc, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday. Giovanni's got gymnastics. Like, you need to focus on that can wait till tomorrow." Or having that accountability partner in the field that you're in really helps for me because we kind of bounce ideas off each other and hold each other accountable and make sure we're on the right track. So I think it's helpful to have a accountability partner.
Yes. Like, I don't know if this was your experience. I mean, when you said that, just made me think of this. Entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey because you're not connected to a infrastructure in a corporate or nonprofit or government sector anymore. And so that accountability partner would be like a lot of things, right? Like they be
Hmm.
motivation, they be, let me like get it out, they be let me give you
Absolutely.
some ideas. Like I feel like it is that is one of the hidden gems that are like absolutely necessary to just business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are navigating those lonelier paths, creating essentially your tribe and your kind of like again your accountability partner. So that was huge. Thank you for sharing that.
I think it's also good to have like a coach or a mentor. Now, I know some people can get burned by that. I know I have because I really haven't found like my true mentor coach person per se. But I think it's necessary to achieve like growth and to know which path to kind of be on. Because like I said before, for me, like I didn't have anybody in my family that is an entrepreneur. So I'm kind of like trying things out as I go. And I think if I had a mentor, if I had a coach that fit, with what I'm doing, I think a lot of things would be easier. So I haven't found that for myself yet, but I think it's something that's necessary for most people to to take things to the next level, go on an easier route, having a mentor or a coach. And mentors and coaches are not typically free. So people think my mentor, like, you need to pay to have a good mentor. You need to pay for their time, whether it's just taking them out to lunch or dinner or something to pick their brain. I feel like you get the most, you respect their time the most when you shell out some
You
coins
invest in
for
it.
it, investing in it and yourself.
Yours. You just said a mouthful. So I'm not gonna say I got a free person, but I have a person that's been in my life for a long time, and that person has been super helpful with me. Just like, first of all, having the confidence to know that you can you can have your own business and be successful. You can reach six figures, all of these different things that you are not told, you're not taught. And I also really like that you said a coach that fits you, because while this coach is really helpful in really many spaces, if I need somebody to just bounce something off of real late at night, I probably can call her. But there are parts of my business that have grown into other avenues that's not something that's in her wheelhouse. She's not gonna really be able to speak to that. She'll be supportive of it, but it's just not her expertise. And so then now it's like, okay, I need to be able to have other sources, other wells to drink from. And so being okay with having multiple people that are knowledge based for you, that help you reach your goals, reach your potential, and stay on track. Because a lot of these things, you could be spinning in place and not knowing where you're going without a coach or a mentor. And like you said, a lot of them are not free, but they definitely, you can get a return on your investment if you are intentional about following those steps. And for those who don't understand what the coaching piece is, it's similar to therapy, except it's not emotional health based. It's more goal based, more goal oriented in a specific area. And so some coaches, they exclusively help you on getting your finances in order or building, your business to match all of the business codes and things you need to have to be great on paper. But there are so many different kind of coaches. There are personal coaches and just, coaches that help you write books and all these different things. And so being aware of whatever your goal is, looking for somebody whose skills are in that, because it's likely going to be, and sometimes it could be in a multitude of things, but looking for somebody with those skills, because coach is not one size fits all.
Absolutely.
How do you set boundaries? I want to hear about your process between your work, between your personal time, especially. I mean, you have a business that's 45 minutes away, but you have children, you have a husband, all of the above.
Well, you know me personally, so I don't play.
Don't play.
But I mean, you just have to really put your foot down and really, like I said, put yourself first, because people, if you don't set a boundary, people will come closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. Like, you have to draw the line somewhere, or at the end of the day, you're going to be the one sitting around crying and stressed and bags under your eyes and migraines and unhealthy and all those type of things. And I don't want to be that person. I try to, the basis of my business is health and wellness. And so I want to be a healthy person and a well person and a whole person myself. So I have never had any trouble with setting my boundaries. But sometimes, people can tiptoe to that. And you just have to, respectfully exert your boundaries. If somebody is, if my office hours are at 5 and you're calling the office, because the office, when I first opened my office, it rolled to my cell phone. And so if you're calling the office at 6 o'clock about an appointment, sir or ma'am, I'm not going to answer the phone anymore. I mean, I just don't answer the phone. You
Yeah,
leave a
I just don't
message.
answer the phone. It's
When
not
it's
even.
time for regular business hours, I will get to it. So I had to set the boundaries, or like I changed my schedule to 3 o'clock. My daughter needs me at a field trip or this class or this. I just have to set that in place. And I think, when you have your own business, people are drawn to you, right? And so they're drawn to who you are authentically because you put yourself out there authentically if it's your own business. And those people relate to you. And those who are meant for you will be with you and respect that and understand it. And those who don't, everybody's not my client, my client target. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm okay with that. And sometimes I don't find it out until after I try to exert a boundary. But once I find out, I mean, it is what it is. And I used to be, when I first started my practice and it was, the doors just open, I was trying to keep and so desperate to keep anybody and everybody, but they
Mm,
were not my people. Some of those were not my people. And so now I've come to the point, where I'm okay letting somebody go. Like, this is not mutually beneficial. I maybe not be a good fit for you, and you're maybe not a good fit for me, and it's okay. Here are your x-rays, here are your records, and you can part. It's just I'm okay with that now. And I had to get to that point of not being so desperate, for people. Because when you start from scratch, you just like,
yeah.
oh God, I
You
just
just
need
need
somebody.
somebody
I
there.
need
You're just
some
trying to pay the bills.
resident. Yeah. But as I grew into myself and as my business has grown and matured, I know it's really not good for business anyway, because any minor inconvenience, if that person is not your tribe or not your target client, it's going to be detrimental to your business as well. They're going to leave you a bad review, if even the slightest inconvenience. So you might as well just set the boundary and go ahead and if they try to step over it, go ahead and just let them go. You have to know what you're okay accepting and what you're not okay accepting. Like sometimes I don't mind, staying after, whatever, if I feel like that's something I want to do. But if I don't want to do it, then
Yeah.
I don't do
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. I mean, I was hearing so many really good things, by the way. One of them I thought was so cool is one of the biggest benefits of being an entrepreneur is being able to choose how you want to work and who you want to work with. And when you're not in that entrepreneurial space, you kind of take what the business takes and, you make it work. But when part of the journey of going to entrepreneurs, I know I can help in a specific way. And the best way we help is by working with the people that are for us. And so I love that. I even love how you kind of explain, the people who are for you versus the people who are not. I think a lot of times people struggle with boundaries because, they feel like people don't want to hear their no, or people, I'll say this, and I'm gonna say this with a grain of salt because I know some people are like gonna have a different opinion. Generally, people do us in their best interest, right? Like that's
it.
just a
Right.
human thing. And generally, this is the part I'm saying that, people may not agree with, but people are not trying to hurt you when they're stepping over your boundaries. There
Right.
are scammers. There are people that are highly disrespectful that are trying to hurt you. We know that.
Yeah.
But generally, people are not doing that. So when they're saying, can you meet with me at 6 o'clock? They're not trying to say, well, I don't care about your family time. It's up to you to say, well, this is my availability, right? So you
Correct.
don't feel like at 6 o'clock, dang, why am I still in here? I really want to be with my family. And so I really like how you explained that, because the people who are for you already have that respect. They're already drawn to who you are and want to work with you based on your availability. And so people usually will ask me, hey, can you meet on Wednesdays? I normally don't meet on Wednesdays, so I'll politely say, well, are you available Friday or Monday or maybe even on the weekends? Because those are my days. And then usually it's not a problem. They'll just find an available slot in that space. But to your point, you get those people and I feel like you always know when they're not
You
right.
do.
You be feeling it. And then you get those people and then they got a problem and they start doing this passive aggressive stuff, or just really kind of pushy things, and it's just like, I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
And really, you guys are not in sync with each other, and it's not because it's your fault. And so kind of to your point, my advice is, and you definitely hit on this, try not to be approved by everybody, right? Like part of being who you are is being able to draw the people that's for who you are.
Right.
I can tell you in my field, I mean, a lot of people want to work for me, but I am not for everybody. I am not, right? There
Yeah.
are people who have very different approaches, very different ways of working, and that works perfectly for other people. There are people who started with me, have transitioned, and that's been for the best. Or there have been people that, was with somebody else and came to me, and that's been for the best. And so be okay with being chosen by everybody. You're not supposed to
Absolutely.
be.
Absolutely.
If you are, you're probably sacrificing your peace and your boundaries. So
Absolutely.
I love how you explained that. He's like, in the beginning, I was taking everybody. No,
Yeah,
I
it
take
was.
what I want.
I was taking everybody and everything and stress, and I was like, oh, but eventually, something had to give, and got more confident in myself and more confident in being, a business owner and those kind of things. And then, my husband is, he's his background is in manager and human resources and all that kind of things, and so he was kind of coaxing me through, how to say things and package it up, in a good
Nice,
way.
nice.
You know me, I'm saying. So he helped me develop that skill. So like there was different skills that I was lacking in, and I had to seek some counsel with myself to exercise and develop some skills that I was not originally proficient in, and so that was one piece for
Yeah.
me.
I feel like you said, you're not uncomfortable asserting your boundaries. You just like, maybe I can do it a different way.
Right.
I remember, kind of what you were speaking to. I felt like, dang, if I don't find a way to make this fit for them, right, then they're not going to want to work with me. And I'm going through all of these things. I'm trying to like, maybe lower prices or create times that don't exist and all of that. And when I finally got to, because, for some people, it's just not in their budget or it's just not like on their schedule, and that's fine. And so when I started getting to a point where I was just like, oh, well, I can do this, or, be pretty much had the clear boundary in place, and it wasn't their time, that was fine. If they're for you, they will find their way back. And so I've had people not work with me because of, just finances, whatever, for a period of time. It could be like 7, 8 months. And then one day they like, hey, do you have anything? I really want to get back on the schedule, or I wasn't able to start then, but I'm ready now. And so be okay with that. Like, as long as you're treating people good,
Absolutely.
your boundaries don't have to be a problem for them. It just might not be the time for them. And so just keep doing your work and just being a good person. And who's for you will come to you. The people who couldn't
Absolutely.
work with you then may come back, or they'll be able to serve in your life in a different kind of way. You just never know. So I like that. Just being true to you.
Absolutely.
Well, you're good. Your family's good. Everybody gets the best of you.
Yes.
For you, what role does self-care play in maintaining your work-life balance?
So I make sure I get a massage schedule at least once a month because dentistry it's hard on the neck and the back, and I don't want to end up being 60 and being humpback. So I make sure I have a massage schedule monthly. I'm big on I use medical grade skincare products for my face. So even if I can't go and get a facial done, if it's not in the budget, then I'll maintain skincare at home. Eating healthy, good food choices instead of getting junk all the time. I try to balance out eating, making good food choices, exercising, and it doesn't even have to be anything like crazy, like running 2-3 miles. Like even just getting out and going for a walk in the neighborhood, or playing with my children, or just doing some light weights while I watch Ratchet TV. That's like my new thing. So I love Ratchet TV. So I figured
Me
if
too.
I'm gonna spend this time watching Ratchet TV, I'm gonna make it productive. So like I'll have my little small little free weights on the side. So I'll pick those up and I'll do some curls or some raises or something like while I'm watching the show. Or I got this little walking pad off TikTok. I'm addicted to TikTok shop. So I got
You
me a
were
little
just telling
walking
me about
pad.
that.
Yeah. And so I walk on my little walking pad while I'm watching Love and Hip Hop or Sisters or
Mhm.
something, one of my shows. So I
All
kind
of
of
you.
incorporate that into that. So
I
those
love
different
that.
kind of things I do. Spend time with my kids. I'll let them go on a walk with me, or we'll do something, activity or something together. So that's my self care thing.
I like how you explain practical things when it's not in the budget too, because I think sometimes people think of self-care, they think, oh, I gotta be at the spa, I
Spend
gotta
a whole
spend
lot
all
of
this
money.
money.
Mm-hmm.
And in reality, self-care is just about, can I just sit down and do nothing if I want to? What is really kind of that most peaceful image in your mind. For some people, it's just looking out the window. Like, I don't have to
Running
think
a
about that.
hot bath and getting some Epsom salt. You can get the Epsom salt from Dollar
Girl,
Tree and put that Epsom salt, light a candle, get in there, relax, read a book, get a podcast, listen to.
oh my gosh, the
Yeah,
best.
that's those are the things I like to do. I could
Those
just
are the
I
things.
can soak in the tub for hours. I call it a sauna bath because I don't have a sauna at my house. So I'll close all the bathroom doors, get the water real hot, and I'll turn on the heater in the bathroom, and it's kind of my own little sauna, and I'm sweating bullets. It extends your lifespan too. Sauna, if you didn't know,
Yes.
30 minutes of
Yeah.
sauna, and it extends your
It releases
lifespan.
toxins, all of that. I never thought of
Mhm.
doing it like that. So
Mhm.
you close all of the door. You kind of like create a closed space and turn on the heat, have the water nice and warm, have some things that help with muscle tension release
Mhm.
and maybe even some aromatherapy, maybe lavender,
Yes. And my
eucalyptus.
kids know when their door is shut. Mommy, don't
Nice.
bother mommy when she.
I'm gonna have to try that because that sounds
And if
good.
your
Because
kids open the door, you might just need to just lock it. I mean, you got to have. But my kids don't. They don't come in. But they already know. Mommy's in the bath. Let mama be in the bed. Like it's got to the point now. Even like my kids like to do it too. Like my daughter said, "Mommy, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take a bath." And she takes her baths just like mommy takes her bath. She need her. Whatever. I don't know if school was stressful or what that day, but she has her little me time that she does too. I think it's a good.
you modeling it, and so she
Taking
like,
care of yourself.
I need my bath time, my private bath time. It's relaxing. Get my little
Hmm.
spot on.
Yes, and you can do it on a
Yeah.
budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
So funny thing about California. I moved to California a couple of years ago for those who's listening, and a lot of houses here don't have doors on the bathroom. Yeah, they have like a separate room, like in the master. So like they do have doors on like, like the hallway bathrooms, the half baths, all of that. But like in the master, it could literally be just like a walkthrough. You can see the tub, you can see the sinks, the shower. They'll have a door for the toilet, but it's like open. And some people will, get a door installed or like a barn door or something. But that's a thing here. And I thought that was the weirdest thing at first
Ask
because
my husband that he's from California. That's what.
yes, ask him. Yeah, I'm like, do y'all have doors in your masters?
What's
Because
in
my
that?
friend said, like, yes. It's like, wait a minute. So you just have no privacy? So, like I said, some people install things, curtains, all of that, but it's a thing here. One of the landlords that I used to rent from, he said, well, when I want some privacy, I go to the kids' bathroom. I'm like, oh my goodness. Because you can't lock the yeah, I'll lock the door to the whole room. So they just, we don't find some privacy. And I usually
Yeah.
do it when everybody's kind of downstairs, dinner time, all of that. Just like, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go over here to the side. But I love that. I even like the way you, get out your exercise, like you do practical things like watching TV. I'm gonna do arm things. I actually need to do that. So I actually have weights that still got tags on them. Like it's still in the wrapper. It's been sitting there, and I've been
Yeah.
trying to figure out like how do I want to use these because I haven't been super motivated to do the like YouTube videos and all of that. But I'm like I do want to do something with it, and I really like walking in nature. So I hate treadmills, but yes, I even like what can I do to
Yeah, you can
um
incorporate that.
yeah, because a lot of people don't know like your body actually holds stress hormones unless you get them out, and one of the ways of getting them out naturally is exercise. Like
Hmm.
going for walks, making your body, your adrenaline get up so that it can release stuff, calm, release endorphins because calm jobs, all of that, like stress is going into your body and it's just sitting there. And so
Hmm.
I love that. That is a part of self care.
Ratchet TV is there.
Yes, that's a part of self care. Trap music, like all of you, if you like me, I was in a whole Kendrick Lamar binge for a minute, but I'm detoxing now. It's been exciting. I think I listened to one this morning, and I was proud of myself. but I, but I said that to say like you wear a lot of hats, and you have times where you absolutely like this is not something you can even do. So I feel like this is just part of balance, right?
Absolutely.
Reality TV, just different kind of music. Just allow yourself to be able to tap into those parts because sometimes just having the music blasting in the car when I'm by myself is a release.
Hmm.
What advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are having trouble letting go? Because I know that is a thing, especially without mentorship and coaching. Like, what would you tell those entrepreneurs?
To as soon as possible get a team in place, and by team I don't mean exactly employees, because I don't really have employees anymore, but I mean, like, your financial advisor, your coaches, your different people, like have your team to put together so that you're not trying to do everything, and then get systems put in place, follow those systems, and when you put something on paper to set aside to do things for yourself, stick to it. Accountability partner, we mentioned that before. I mean, you have to do it. You have to stick to it. That's the advice that I would give. And make sure, when you're choosing your partner, that you're choosing a partner that's going to support the entrepreneurial goal or entrepreneurial spirit that you have. And just I would discuss that before even taking on the venture, because it's a lot on your partner or your spouse
Absolutely.
if they're not an entrepreneur. Even if they are, balancing two entrepreneurs is tough too. So you want to make sure that you and your partner are on the same sheet of music, so that that doesn't bring in another element of tension and stress on you as an.
I want to thank you for saying that because I don't think I've ever heard anybody explain that. And that is very, very much a real thing, especially if you have a family. You are not the only one who's impacted by your entrepreneurial journey. There are times where you're going to be like the activities that, kind of to your point, the activities that you schedule for yourself to do. Some of those activities are completely administrative. You can have a whole administrative day or evenings, especially if you're still working another job and opening up a business. And so when you're doing those types of things, you have that time scheduled. That means it's taken away from your family, it's taken away from your spouse. And some people they didn't sign up for that, or they're not willing to sign up for that. And so it does create tension. It can actually like be a really, really hard thing on a relationship when you don't have a supportive partner. There's things that I do that my husband didn't even understand could make money, or, could be something that was a part of having a therapy based business. And I just got inspired. I started working on it, was working on it for months, and then it turned into something. And so a lot of our activities are not upfront money making. There are
Mhm.
times where we're like literally just planning and thinking and meeting and creating. That's a big part of the entrepreneurial journey. And do you have somebody who can support that? There are times you're going to be traveling. There are times you're going to be in the office for a long time. You're going to be meeting with random people all over the world. That's part of it. So
Yeah.
having somebody who supports that, who understands that's a part of, of your work, that trusts you, that has your back, that's willing to pick up some of those extra things, watch the kids when you got to do some other work.
And I think that's especially hard as a female entrepreneur, because a lot of times it's like uh a gender role crisis or anything, because it's like, oh, well, the woman's supposed to be at home with kids, and then and so, me, I've been very blessed, that my husband is very, hands on with the kids. He'll pick up the kids, he'll get the kids dressed. Now he won't do it, the way I do it,
Of course. I
but
know. I'll be like,
yes, but he does it, and I think that's another point of contention. You probably have talked about this in your other podcast, but just the gender roles and all that kind of thing, having those kind of guidelines set out. Because I know a lot of people say, your husband let you go there, or, well, where are your kids? So I'm like, they with their daddy. Like that's he is, he is their parent too. And so I think, just having that supportive partner who believes in me and who supports me, and we are a team. And I think that's very, very much so key in the balance of things.
yeah, I love that you said that. That gender roles piece is huge. I think like God has a way of like moving stuff into place gradually. Ironically, as an entrepreneur, I'm at home more than I've ever been, which is, interesting to say in itself. But one of the roles that I did before this, I traveled all the time. This was when I had just my two little girls, and my husband does not do hair. He don't. But I
And
would
they
be
got a head
gone
full of hair.
sometimes. And oh my gosh, them girls get hair. And there were times where I would be gone for a week at a time. And so to your point, like there was things that I had to do to kind of get that into place. Like I might have to do a hairstyle that could last the week, pick out their clothes for the week so that, he's going to be transporting them, feeding them, all of that kind of stuff, how to support that from a distance and then have somebody who can kind of pick up that other part that I'm not going to physically be there to pick up. And then now being in a position where I'm at home, but you know, there's times where I might have to travel. There's times where I'm just in meetings all day. You know what I mean? And just still having some level of like, oh, you already got this. We already figured this out and have that balance. And I, feel like it's got to look a certain way. Create the rules to your relationship that work for your
Absolutely.
relationship. I'm big on that. I'm like, there is no one size fits all, and everybody, rules don't fit. With there's some stuff I hear people do. I'm like, oh, well, no, I don't know if that worked for me, but it works for
Yeah.
you. So I have no complaints, disagreements, arguments. As long as you guys are happy and it's healthy, cool, go for it. Can you share a
Absolutely.
time when adaptability helped you maintain balance?
What do you mean by adaptability?
Where, like you had to change up something, you had to do something a little different, you had to move into a space that was, newer for you, just out of that just normal routine.
Yeah, so I have been without somebody in the back office working with me since November. So it's like, I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? The business got to keep going on. What am I going to do? So I had to be ingenuitive and figure out like, how am I going to keep this going with just me? So I looked into getting a virtual assistant. So I got she's a dentist in the Philippines, and so she can work virtually, verifying the patient's insurance, input it into the computer, so that when I do a treatment plan, all of that will be in there. So I had to just use what I knew and really what I didn't know because I had never used a VA before. So I had to just use technology, to my benefit. And so that's been working out for me well. So I had to adapt. Everybody's looking for employees, but nobody wants to work nowadays. So I had to figure out how am I going to sustain my business and keep going with minimal employees. And so that's what I did. I used technology to kind of pivot and help do that.
I like that you said that because what a lot of people don't understand or recognize, and I'm not going to even say a lot of people don't, people do recognize this. There's a lot of people that do get it, but in the entrepreneurial world, like we work across the globe. I work with people in all kind of countries, and it's fine. It's no issue, right? Like they be on totally different time zones, but can they
Absolutely.
do the work? Is it efficient for what your needs are? A lot of times, all I need is something virtual. I work virtual, so all I need is something virtual. And so, can this person help with this? And so, just getting out that comfort zone or thinking it has to look a certain way. It's if the person is doing the job you need them to do, they have the skill you need them to have, and they can do it. It might be the best move you make. And
Hmm.
so, I really like that. And I like the way you explained. He was like, I had to figure this out, and I had to go into that space, but it ended up working out pretty good.
Absolutely.
Yes. Because
Yep. So
the other tricky thing about entrepreneurial journey is that a lot of people think it's just about, oh, you are doing something on your own. If you're creating efficiency systems, you have a system, like a sense, actually learning how to run a company. You're learning how to be a CEO. You're learning how to have leadership skills. And sometimes we don't have that coming in. And so, like, how do we learn that, right? Giving yourself the space and the permission to say, I want to be able to have these skills. I want to be able to correct mistakes. I want to be able to help train somebody and to what I need them to be for my business is my style. I want to, learn how to communicate better. All of these things are absolutely necessary, but skills that we don't all walk in the door with. We just gotta, you
we
gotta find
definitely
a
know
way
because
to.
all they taught me in dental school was how to be a dentist, like that the whole managing and all that kind of stuff. That they don't teach us that, and that definitely didn't come natural for me. So luckily I have the resource of my husband. That's his background to help with that. But those you have to give yourself some grace, and you may have take some classes on something outside of what your actual business is, just to be able to, sustain your business as far as like growth and dealing with people. You always have to be constantly educating yourself
Yes,
to grow and take things to the next.
this key, constantly educating yourself. You guys, there is no finish line. There's no finish line when you're not an entrepreneur, but when you're an entrepreneur, there's always an opportunity. So just being okay with, I reach goals, I set new goals. I get good at something, I can get better at something else, so just being open minded to be accountable, to be critical of yourself, and to just have a growth mindset essentially. So I love
Absolutely.
Dr. Tiffanie, thank you so much for sharing all of this knowledge. It's amazing. Can you please tell our audience how they can get in touch with you if they have questions, where they can find you at, all of that good stuff?
Yes. So if you're looking for dental treatment, dental questions, facial aesthetic questions, my practice is Definition Dental Studio. So we're on Instagram and Facebook as Definition Dental Studio. If you're looking to talk to me to get, mentorship, if you're looking into dentistry, if you're looking into healthcare, those type of things, or if you want to do private consultation, my personal Instagram is at Dr. Mrs. Prick on Instagram.
This is pretty. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much. If you guys are listening again, well, you are listening because you hear me.
You listen.
As you are listening again, just making sure that you are subscribed, you are taking away some things you could share, just what your feedback is, what is just your takeaways from this episode. And do me one more favor, share this episode with other people. Not only are we talking about entrepreneur things, we're talking about life things. There's always some information in here that people can benefit from. There is somebody that you know right now that's trying to figure out, can I do this? I don't have the roadmap. I haven't done this before. I don't know anybody who's done this that I could just call on. And this is essentially the story today. And so, don't hold the wisdom, don't hog it up. Share it. Give it to somebody. But thank you again for listening. Thank you, Dr. Tiffanie, for joining us. And we will see you guys next time.
All righty. See ya.